But my problem is when they self-diagnose and then every single thing they do, they excuse it with insert X amount of X mental illness there to excuse your behavior, and they don't try to better themselves. So, like, you know what would actually be helpful? If somebody actually walked you through the steps needed to do something like that, it would actually be helpful. But he's not being helpful at all. He's not being helpful because he just wants to open the door for him to get closer to you for some kind of weird flirty relationship, as we've seen in the other document. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going into the other Google Doc that just hit the EvilToaster towers. I have been asked to produce a document about EvilToaster. This is for those who found the courage after reading CNR's document, and I wish to speak up anonymously about their own traumatic... How many pages? Ah, thank God it's not that long. We're good. The anonymous victims of EvilToaster's abuse. To preface, this document is a way for new victims of EvilToaster to speak out against the wrong he's done while still remaining anonymous. I want to make it clear this document is to help people also identify how... I've been given the screenshots among many others of as a trusted confidant to keep them anonymous. I want to make it clear this document is to help people also identify how harmful it can be to peer review and diagnose people when you aren't trained or taking the proper path, while also highlighting EvilToaster's situation. However, there's no wrong answers currently in self-diagnosis or in formal diagnosing. There are benefits and cons to each other, but that is different from what is going on here. I've received permission from everyone in this document to share these stories and screenshots. For those who don't know me, I keep my head down. I don't engage in most trauma. I stay in my lane. I spend 7 years when I can working with Crisis Connection, 988 Suicide, and SPSA. So the following stories and screenshots I've given I found very concerning, even if their relationship is indirect. I do not condone manipulation. I do not approve of unprofessionally diagnosing your friends, and I do not condone forcing your views and beliefs onto others. He is not a trained professional. They do not have a medical degree. While online autism tests have some accuracy and are a wonderful way to identify traits and get you on the right path, they are not 100% accurate source of diagnosis. I don't think they're an accurate source of diagnosis at all. What? I respect the autism community and their support of self-diagnosis, and this is in no way a hit piece against the community, merely identifying one person who is viewed as dangerous and has shoved his agenda onto dozens. Whatever information you find online safely, please seek medical professional if you're able to. Always look out for yourself and find comfort on your fellow community members. Pushing boundaries and pressing autism on others. Well, I think you should just not seek like any medical advice online in general. Most of the time it's just gonna scare you more, I think. Every answer you can Google online about what you have ends with cancer. It's always like you, or one of the reasons is you probably have cancer. Like, it makes you catastrophize everything. EvilToaster has a long history of diagnosing and encouraging his friends to take the autism test, going as far as referring to some of his own personal case study. Even though they've never shown any history or medical background to be qualified, there's nothing inherently wrong with looking out for your friends and trying to support good mental health. However, the frequency that EvilToaster has shown to this with dozens of his friends is a red flag. But with EvilToaster, it's the opposite. It's not that you have cancer. His answer to everything is, you have autism. Okay. EvilToaster, starting conversation with that lovely emote, passive-aggressive emote that I love so much. I haven't been able to sleep properly. Yeah, by the way, I thought of more things. Oh, in regards to what, may I ask? To the stuff we talked about. Also, I just got back to my desk. Okay, lol, so what is on your mind? You are becoming a case study for me of these kinds of topics. You are more autistic than me, Pog! I just had to get off my chair and take a walk for a sec. Really? You answered with Pog? Really? The tests. I've been told by over 10 individuals that at some point in their interaction with EvilToaster, he had either unwarranted and unprompted shoved an autism test into them, or guided a conversation into a way that he suggested take the test. That's a Twitch ambassador, by the way. First we had the dear girl, then we had EvilToaster. They give such a lovely name to Twitch ambassadors. I love Twitch ambassadors. Online autism tests are not reliable tools for diagnosing autism spectrum disorder. Yes, thank you for saying that. I'm not gonna read the full screenshot. I think you guys get the point. Self-diagnosis is important because it allows people to receive new information about themselves that may help them mitigate, validate their experience, and persuade them to seek professional help. Self-diagnosis and tests give out opportunity to put their foot in the door and explore a deeper level. However, self-diagnosis becomes harmful when an individual never receives professional diagnosis. Yes, thank you for saying that, document. Because there are many symptoms that overlap within disorders. Not even that, beyond seeking professional help, yeah, some people don't have access to that, by the way, or they live like in rural parts of countries. Like in rural Europe, for example, it's very hard to get professional help. But my problem is when they self-diagnose and then every single thing they do, they excuse it with insert X amount of X mental illness there to excuse your behavior, and they don't try to better themselves. It should be a starting point for you to seek professional help and learn how to live with it. It shouldn't be you falling back on it every time you need an excuse not to do something. Someone who engages in self-diagnosis may start identifying with a disorder that isn't part of their psyche and therefore treat themselves and others differently because of it. This can lead to an incomplete treatment of mental illness disorder, which in the long term can have serious effect on a person's mental, physical health, lifestyle, and more. Wait, I shouldn't be used as a pickup line? Bro, this is gonna fuck up my whole Tinder game. Hey, do you have autism? Pog. Sometimes I think people self-diagnose so they can brag about it online, though. It's like a badge of honor for some reason. Maybe because in the Western world, we have this anti-hero aspiration. But the anti-hero used to be, you know, somebody that didn't fit like the standard molds. It used to be somebody that was a little bit rebellious, that was thinking outside the box, that didn't do things like everybody. But now it's everything that makes you different. And now the things that make you different have also become labeled with people forming groups around them. So it's changed a lot. It's changed a lot. And now it's like, if you're normal, that's seen almost as bad or as cringe. So you need to find a way to be different. I don't know how to explain it that well. I think you guys get what I mean, though. Yeah, self-diagnosis is not a bad thing of its own. It's definitely not inherently wrong. It's the first step for you to get help. The problem is when people get stuck on the first step and then use that over and over again to get like victimhood points. Okay, so these are all anonymous screenshots. So I'll call them Anon. Really? Well, the test results alone? Yeah, well, that kind of explains a lot in my life. Yep. I guess we'll see 100% after my talk with my therapist. I wouldn't necessarily trust a neurotypical with diagnosing you since they fundamentally cannot understand what being autistic is like, but that is just my opinion. And also the opinion of like almost everyone I know in the autistic community. We are like big advocates for self-diagnosis. Oh, what? That is a huge red flag. Hold up. You know what? I've had that happen to me before. Not the self-diagnosed part, the part where they disregard what your therapist is saying. That's a huge red flag. And second of all, that reminds me, do you guys remember that actor from Hollywood, Jorah or something? And he was using therapy speak on his girlfriend, and he was also belittling her therapy. I feel like I'm seeing a pattern here. He was also belittling her therapist, saying, oh no, she's not that good, you shouldn't listen to her. Bro, that is such a red flag that he's like, no, do not listen to a professional's opinion. Only listen to me. And everybody in the autistic community, we are all big advocates of self-diagnosis. Bro, shut up. Jonah Hill. Yes, it's Jonah Hill. Yeah. It's true some therapists can suck, for sure. But, I mean, if it's somebody that's trained to give you a test and to diagnose you with a medical condition, then I think you can trust them. I mean, they go to school for like 7 years and more, right? I think it's about some people thinking that having a mental problem is like a character quirk or perk and makes the person sophisticated. I don't want to generalize and say it's everybody, but definitely some people believe or think that way, yeah. I self-diagnose, but I prefer not to look for it to confirm, aka a professional. Kinda, I keep it to myself. Did that once, probably don't do it again. I mean, it's kind of like what I was saying before too. I'm like, oh, you know, maybe I do have an ADHD problem, but I contain it pretty well, and I've developed tools to be able to live my life pretty efficiently. I mean, you guys have seen I work a shit ton, so I'm handling it pretty well. It's not, it's never gonna be an excuse for me. Although I'll tell this story another time. My friends do cringe when I zone out during stand-up comedy. Telling people to avoid neurotypical people from helping them diagnose from a false belief that they cannot understand while they state their opinion. I still find this dangerous to someone so impressionable and trusting when there is no research to prove this. And also, since this guy is self-diagnosing himself, we don't even know if he's actually neurotypical. Maybe he isn't. So why should she trust his opinion? No, I don't do stand-up comedy. I was watching a stand-up comedy with some of my friends and I zoned out during a joke. And so I missed the point. And they said that watching things with me is awful. Anyway, that was just a tangent. Telling people to avoid... Okay, we read that. Yeah, he only self-diagnosed, yeah. So it's hard to know what reserved people think. I had someone like I liked a lot before. It's hard to know what she's thinking. I'm having neurodivergent suspicions. Me and another autistic friend of mine think Nia may be like us, which honestly would explain so much about her. I want to bring it to her next time we talk, but we haven't had a next time yet. I think he thinks it makes him closer to some people, like a shared experience kind of thing. Or some kind of shared trauma? I don't know. EvilToaster is frequently spotted DMing people unrelated to another person's autism or lack thereof, and when the person being discussed rejects his personal diagnosis, declines his test, or say they aren't comfortable with it. She replies, I'm sorry, I'm so stupid. Why? Because I don't know how to end a conversation, how to acquire the autistic trait spotted. You'll see a common trend that in any tiny trait that can be categorized as an autistic trait is reinforced into that person's head by EvilToaster. The victim in the screenshot confided in me, telling me they didn't ask for his giant monstrosity. They felt stupid receiving it and not understanding it. Upon saying, I don't know how to end the conversation, not awkwardly, his response was autistic trait spotted. It's a common trend. Yeah, I mean, we've seen this in his other document. A little, but you seem to be a lot better appearing presentable socially than a lot of others. It's more difficult to sense in more outgoing people, I feel, which is why it's hard to see it in Nia. Also, fun fact, some people chalk it up to just being introverted itself as neurodivergent, especially in deficit models, which kind of suck, since there are measurable differences in needs for simulation and accommodation to get a similar amount of work done in introverts. Just things like optimal background music volume between extroverts and introverts. And that's a whole rabbit hole. I like to think I'm quite versed in topics like these, be it about neurodivergence or LGBT plus topics and autism especially. You seem very knowledgeable. I just want to know if I need more help to grow, you know? I don't want to hurt others or make mistakes. I know making mistakes is part of life, but I can grow and be better. That'd be great. A friend of mine who recently got diagnosed is having a great time now that she's understand that she needs and knows how to help herself. Funnily enough, she was also ADHD and gender fluid, so the chance was quite high. I see. I wonder what kind of help I would need if I'm diagnosed with it. How about professional help? But no, EvilToaster is not going to suggest that one. In my experience, people kind of just allow themselves to have better self-care. I mean, it's not about an answer. Self-care is always good. Good question. Although I don't self-care because I'm a masochist. EvilToaster, good question. So like basically if someone is diagnosed with ADHD, it's like a solid 50% chance they'd also test for autism. Some people argue they could be the same thing. I'm not opposed to that idea entirely. Do you have ADHD? I want to say you mentioned that. Yeah. And you're also trans. So we never tested for autism in my family. 80% chance you would test for autism. Damn, that's a huge jump. My parents, when young, only thought that I had trouble concentrating. Very, very high overlap between trans people and autism. Fun fact. These numbers are false, but there are some validity to his statement. Autism does have correlation to ADHD and trans, but not causation. While members of ADHD and trans have higher chance of being diagnosed with form of autism, it is not guaranteed. I'll leave some material and document below for anyone interested. Also had a 2-hour call with Anon last night. It was nice. Yeah, she told me she's one of us. What do you mean? Autistic. Did she take that test or no, but she checks all the boxes? No, but she checks all the boxes. For fuck's sake, man. And apparently she's been reading and researching on it already for a long time, which in itself is a box checked. Another example for yet another anonymous individual was labeled as autistic by EvilToaster. The person in the screenshot did not request any information about how EvilToaster viewed them. He elected to label someone untested and without their consent as autistic. Anonymous experience 3. Unfortunately, this one was done entirely in the form of a call on Discord, so the only evidence that it occurred is confirmation of the meeting. I don't know when he became a doctor, chat. I don't know, okay? Hi, Toaster. Wanted to look into getting formally tested for autism, and I was wondering if you could help me understand what process looks like, if you feel like it's something necessary. A couple things have started coming off in my personal life, and I think it would be beneficial for me to get to understanding. You want to sit down in a call and we can discuss it? Yeah. Yeet! What's your usual streaming schedule if you have one? Great question. He sends her his historicals. Okay, I happen to have free hour from work within these next couple days. I'll hit you up if I don't see you live. Lamau, sounds good. He sends her a tweet. Not self-diagnosed, not medically diagnosed, but a secret third thing, peer-reviewed. Okay. This individual reached out to Toaster for help, hoping that Toaster's experience could help them come to terms on the process of professional diagnosis. They sent him a tweet that they thought funny was relevant, which says not self-diagnosed, not professionally, but peer-reviewed. It's insane to think that an untrained individual could ever diagnose someone regardless of any experience they might have personally. Yeah. The two called, and during the call, EvilToaster once again said that professional diagnosis may be unnecessary. After recounting the events that happened on the call with me, this individual explained a much more upsetting call, and like a few others in the same shoes as them, they were not ready for how abrasive EvilToaster was, nor when they ready for how heavily EvilToaster would declare his findings to be, you have autism. Jesus. The path to professional diagnosis, I don't know how it is in the States, but it's extremely laborious, at least here in Canada. Like, you have to get on a waiting list, and that takes months, and then you need to get like a piece of paper to go to a doctor, and then a doctor gives it to a therapist, and it's still confusing to me, even though I've attempted to start that process many times and I've always given up halfway. Most of the time it's like my mom that's like forced me for like that's called on my behalf and had people call me. And even when I finally got the meeting on the phone, the person didn't give me the piece of paper that I needed to do. I don't know. Everybody gives me conflicting information, so I never know where to start. So at the end of the day, I just always gave up. So like, you know what would actually be helpful? If somebody actually walked you through the steps needed to do something like that, it would actually be helpful. But he's not being helpful at all. He's not being helpful because he just wants to open a door for him to get closer to you for some kind of weird flirty relationship, as we've seen in the other document. So yeah, if he really did want to make a difference, he could have, but he didn't want to. In the middle of making this, I won't lie, I believed it would be a somewhat simple document. I had read a ton of disgusting conversation between EvilToaster and a few others, and I'll just post them and give a brief explanation of why it's wrong in the victim's view. It wasn't long into the night that I realized a big issue. This involves more than just EvilToaster and a few anonymous individuals. If I word this wrong, get any information incorrect, and don't do my due diligence and start researching as much as I can, I could do more harm than good. I had to make sure everything I've learned, I have been taught and researched in the past and present are accurate as I can be sure. I've done more research on autism than I did on college, and I had reached out to a few specialists I've befriended along the course of my life. I didn't want to just be some guy posting screenshots on the internet. I'm writing all of this, going through almost 50 screenshots. I realize I need the center of the focus on the document to justice toxic and dangerous behavior in diagnosing those around him with autism. At the moment, I felt sick at the manipulative behavior, the way he takes his friends and their friendship circle dynamics and guides them along behind the scene in one-on-ones for his own benefit. I'm a passionate person, but for this, I have to remain objective and be the voice for those who were too scared to speak up or unable to face the problems they had faced. Hindsight is truly 2020 because oftentimes you don't realize the threats and dangers you've been in until you had time to review them. I hope with this, Everyone remains safe. I hope everyone stays informed and trusts in themselves. For those who took the time to read this, I thank you. I hope this document didn't offend you in any way. Most importantly, please continue to support our collective cry for a healthy community. How did this guy become friends? I don't know. With people on Vtuber? I don't know. Who did this guy collab with? Do you guys know? Besides Zentreya. It's probably through the Apex stuff, right? Michi, Zen is all I remember. I think Mata too. Zen and Giga, Zen among others. Fruit, Michi, Cinder, Haruka. Oh, okay. Yeah, he's collabed with big names. Boosting this from Ani Drio. I knew EvilToaster all the way back in 2018 Overwatch. Used my vulnerable position as an upcoming streamer and promised me sponsorships to get close, then sent me paragraphs about any behavior he didn't like about me before blocking me. Manipulative and weird. Didn't really talk about this except to close friends as warnings about their characters, and I didn't think it was necessary to cancel since my case isn't nearly as bad as OP, rather just adding my experience to show the scummy behavior stated many years ago. He definitely blocked me after he realized I wouldn't get manipulated that easy and just blindly appease him. Also came crawling back in my chat and Discord years later. It's just the grossest feeling. Why are there so many Overwatch creators from that era just incapable of being normal? All their hyper PMA, what is PMA? Streamers were besties who regularly hung out and enabled each other's abuse. Oh, it's probably not a good word. Well, I don't think he's gonna reappear with them from now on. I deleted my tweet about a friend of mine just now and I want to be clear why. I have other things to worry about, especially with my walking progression this month. If Toaster did something bad, holy shit, that sucks massively and I feel bad for the person he hurt. If he didn't, then I hope things get cleared out. I realize that I'm not here to defend or stick up for people when I don't even know what's going on. I'm not going to make some grandstands for the sake of clout or a good name. But because the reality is, I just hope they all feel better about the situation. It just doesn't involve me. Some people didn't realize that I made a tweet saying it's stupid to call Toaster a creep over Twitch. 14 hours later, a Google document came out about him. I never meant to defend him or deny someone affected by him. I also am not against him though, because again, I'm not informed and don't want to be. Online is exhausting and I'm just vibing and dealing with real life, wishing the best to all parties involved. Much love y'all and I hope that helps clear the air a bit on where I stand. Which is, I am standing, I'm sitting, because it ain't about me. It's about the people affected, and I'm not someone in their situation. If you have no idea what this tweet is about, then don't worry and keep on keeping on. Because I came here hype as fuck to talk about how I walked to a park bench just to see misunderstanding about my stance. I feel like my cancer recovery is something I want to talk about more than others people's business. Not invalidating their business, just it's not involving me and I'm excited on my own life experience right now. Man, she's right to say this. She's going through some tough time. She's dealing with real life. She doesn't need... people love like demanding a stance from people, from random people that have nothing to do with this. Or they get upset when they have a different opinion than them. She just doesn't want to talk about it. And that's okay. Like, I swear, people are drama perverts. Honestly, massive respect for you to this. My reply to you was really not out of hate. It was clearly you was not fully informed on everything and all you was trying to do was support a friend, which is understandable. But she tweeted it before the Google Doc. Listen, do people now look at timestamps? Yep, I appreciated being told what's up. I'm usually just vibing online, so I don't... I mean, yeah, you appreciate being told what's up, maybe by one person. But then you get tweeted at, tagged, DM by like 20 different people on each platform. It becomes a lot. You ignored my comment about it yesterday, so I'll say it again. Your positive experience with them do not negate others' negative experiences. Both can be true. Huh? But that wasn't the point of my tweet. People were mad at him for the Twitch change, so I said there is some positive stuff. And then 14 hours later, a dog came out with bad experiences. Mine wasn't about that. I just was trying to spread positivity. People were also mad at him because of his history and scared that he added this feature to further creep on people. But you also ignored that. But I even said I didn't like the feature in the tweet. I didn't know of this history of others until the Google Doc came out, which was 14 hours after my tweet. I acknowledged that in this post. Probably similar to Zen, how were we to know until now? You had the time and energy to type out a long reply in defense of your friend, but you didn't spend any effort to reading the community's reaction. There were tweets calling him out. Who is that? All right, well, this name is pretty telling. That guy's a contrarian. She is recovering from cancer. Can we give her a break? So the same is for Zenden, because I collabed with Toaster 4 years ago and they checked in on my health progress. So I wanted to be positive about my experience since he seems like a good friend to me. But again, like Zen, how was I supposed to know? Who is Zen? I'm just saying you took the time to tweet and defend a creep while ignoring a multitude of stories calling him out. Your tweet came out after Bro, Twitter is so black and white. This guy's a troll. This guy is like, why don't you know every single little reaction and every single thing this guy has done and his past, and the community is worried, but also who is Zen? Your tweet came out after many calling him out. Again, who? Because I don't follow anyone who has called him out. If I did then, what would make more sense? But I don't know anyone. I only made aware of the Google Doc that came out 14 hours later after my tweet by my mods, because even then I didn't see it. I don't follow anyone involved yet. Somehow it took scrolling for less than a minute to find multiple, but when you choose to ignore them, I guess it's different. Listen, dumb answer her goddamn question. You see how he's dodging the question? She's like, who? He doesn't respond, and he just moves on to another attack. He doesn't respond. Say a name. Say a name. If you believe it. She shouldn't debate with him because she's playing into his game. He shifted the conversation now. Was supposed to be a tweet about her experience and, you know, her stance on this. And he shifted the conversation to be about her. Now she has to take the time to defend herself. It's so dumb. That's why you just ignore people like that. That guy, that conversation frustrated me. I feel bad for her. That guy's an idiot. Last one from Darius, a Vtuber. I never in my life befriended a Vtuber for the reason of being romantic or sexual. And it does feel like EvilToaster's, that's what all of his friendships were for. Vtubers are your co-workers. They are highly creative people with hopes and aspirations. Breaking them down to the sum of their parts shows you believe in a worldview I want no fucking part of. And this is why male VTubers have a bad name. I feel bad for her as someone who's dealt with little similar bozos. Well, listen, Daddy Corn. I deal with similar bozos on the daily. So I can empathize with her, that is for sure. What the whole EvilToaster doc and general reaction taught me is if you have the right connections, you don't get cancelled at all. People will stay scared of speaking out against you to lose potential collaborations with the big names that are associated with the person. It's a very sad reality to learn from. All these big creators who don't speak on this prove they really don't care about morals. What does this mean? Wait, does Uzagi want people that are not related to this to have to speak on this? No, I don't think I don't think you should be forced to comment on any drama situation. And I don't mean that means you don't condemn it if you don't speak about it. Want another example? How many big VTubers did you see call out Trickery for a disgusting tweet being angry about Trump's failed assassination attempt? A lot. 0? What? Whoa. Okay, Uzagi, come on, you follow me. A lot of people called her out. A lot of people called her out. That wasn't a joke, she only apologized because of the backlash. The fact of the matter is, no one really cares. Everything in the VTuber space when it comes to drama is about virtue signaling and clout chasing. A lot of things, yes. But I think, for example, the Google document that we just read, it probably wasn't for clout chasing. Like, that Google Doc was valid. The higher the following plus big connections, you can't be touched unless it's something truly heinous. Don't put these fake actors on a pedestal. Final example, the only reason Marina VT finally got cut off from most VTubers because of her news stream fiasco in December that made all of VTubers look bad. That's a better example. Not the things she did prior, like how she treated VT Rainbow members, not for her Hogwarts Legacy harassment campaign and virtue signaling, not for sending her lapdog Sylvie Spark to harass people just for that nude stream. Oh, they're just saying if you're a big name, you need to call out bad behavior by your peers. End of story. By your peers, yes. If it's in the group circle, if you're involved in it, yeah. If it's somebody you've never met, for example, if I had 100k followers on Twitter, I don't fucking know who EvilToaster is. Why should I have to make a call out tweet on him? The Marina one it's actually a good example though, because that is true, and I noticed that as well. I was talking to some creators about Marina, and they were like, oh, they were kind of wishy-washy about it. I was being a little surprised. Then I realized it's because they're in their friends group, or they were in the same like wider group that shared like similar values, which is fine. I hang out with people that share different, you know, labels, different values, different political beliefs, and I actually think those things are personal to them. I don't have to agree with them, but they're personal to them. But they kind of refused to condemn her action, sorry, back then, until the nude stream happened, when everybody got upset. Then they were like, oh yeah, you guys were probably right about Marina being a bad person. It's like, that's what made you believe that she's a bad person? Really? But yeah, back to the Uzagi tweet. I feel like, yeah, maybe it's just their algorithm is different than ours, because like I called out every single people mentioned here, and I feel like all my colleagues and other VTubers in the circle we revolved in did so too. So, but I mean, I'm not a big VTuber, so maybe they're talking about corpo VTubers. But if they are talking about corpo VTubers, I don't know why they're, you know, they will never wait on drama. And same with the big indies, you know, same with the big indies. If their content isn't controversies and drama, then I don't see why they would, unless, like we said, they are part of that group. You know what I mean? Like, unless it is their business. If it's not their business, they probably won't mention it. But if it is their business, they probably will. I mean, Zen did. She didn't write like a lengthy tweet about it, but I think it's enough.